Learn how to create a new object from an existing object using object.create method. Object.create method is the foundation of prototype-based inheritance in JavaScript. So instead of copying data, like maybe instead of copying data from one place to another, JavaScript lets objects inherit from other objects, making code reusable and flexible. And so we are going to see an example that demonstrates how objects just create method can make code reusable and flexible. So in my script tag, I have some few comments here, about 5 steps that outlines how we should go about the example. The first one says create base objects person. So we need to make an object, and the name of that object for the base object should be person. And inside that object that we just made now, then we should add some properties in form of key value pairs like name, first name, John, last name, Stone. And let's add something like language, English. Now, we now have the based object. Step 2 says use object.create person to create man. So now what we want to do is that we want to create a new object from that base object that we have. So how do we do it? Well, const man equals to object.create this method. Then this method we assign a parameter, which is the base object person. Now that I have the object, then I can do man.firstName. You can see that now I can access what I have inside the base object equals to table. Now I can attempt to now display properties. So before I do that, I quickly want to explain this part. So we already create a base object of person. Then we use object create to create man to inherit from these base objects. Now my inherit property from person, you can see the first name, and then we now override the first name to Kevin instead of John. And now we are about to display both value, which is the display property. So I'll go ahead and try to display that. Person dot first name plus plus man dot first name. Now you can see John and Kevin, which is correct. So here the first name here is John inside the person object, which is the base object, and the first name for man, which inherits property from this prototype, is Kevin. And on the screen we have both of them. Now, object.create method that we use here makes a new object that inherits property from another object called the prototype. So this is the prototype, which is the base object, and this inherits property from it. And that's why we are able to access first name. I can add another thing. If I want to access the language, man.language, can see it's available to me. I can say maybe French or Spanish. If I do something like this, I can as well get this out. Can say something like this, plus dot speaks man gets language. You can see John and Kevin got Spanish. So now you can see that these properties are inherited from the base object, which is called the prototype. So this example creates a new object, man from person, then overrides one property. So we can assign new properties to it as long as we have access to the property inside the prototype. So what we have here is that person object is created, man is created from person, man inherits all person property, and then we change the first name to Kevin and we display the values separately. So key concept about object.create methods are these. Object.create methods creates inheritance, that is, it can inherit from the prototype, which is usually place. New object links to old objects. So when you have new objects, it always links back to the old object, which is the prototype. Properties can be overridden, just as we override the first name and give man a new name. And inherited values remain accessible. So all the properties that we have inside the based elements. So moving on, I just want to point to a few takeaways from this lesson. Number one, new objects can reuse existing ones. Number two, inheritance happens through prototype. Number three, you can override inherited properties. You can see I just override the language here and I'm able to display it on the screen. Number four, original object is not changed, which means that if I try to do this person.language, it will still give me English. You can see it. So let me put a space. Now you can see that the original object is not changed. So anytime I try to access the property of the original element, it will always remain unchanged. So this is how you can use object.create method to inherit properties from a prototype in JavaScript.